welcome to another video for Auto Solutions Checkpoint. Today we're going to be doing the rear brakes on a Ford S-Max. So here we have it, it's on the 18 plate. So we've just picked up the Ford S-Max, just taking it down to the unit to get the back brakes done. What I'll be doing is plugging the top done machine into it to do the caliper wind back, and I'll just basically do a step by step on how it's done. I love coming this way to work, especially when the weather's nice. Just such a great view. Okay, first things first, we're going to put the S-Max up in the air. Another thing I would add about this vehicle, it's keyless entry, so always make sure that you take the key fob out of the vehicle before you continue to do any work, just in case, because you don't want to lock any keys in. That's why I always stress, if the keys in the ignition don't work on the vehicle, make sure the key's out. You want to be checking for any play. Just going to focus on getting these back brakes done. So due to the S-Max being an awkward size as well, I can't get the door open to climb inside it, and I'm needing to plug the dongle in. So I'm going to climb up and get the dongle installed. I'm sitting in an awkward position climbing in to get this. Now the OBD2 is located driver's side down at the pedals. Okay, so that's the dash all lit up. Switch it on. I'm sitting in the back like a boss. Okay, now we're back at the top done. I'm just going to do a little scan first before we continue. So it's a Euro Ford. Right, so we've got a problem with the ABS, with the battery voltage. Now this will be a previous one because the battery was changed on this not so long ago. So we're just going to remove this. Right, cool. Job done. Whilst we have the top done plugged in, we're going to wind the caliper back with the machine. Okay, so you go into maintenance and service, right, and we're looking for brakes. Okay. Okay, select what vehicle it is. This one's Ford. Switch ignition on. Okay. Okay, so the parker has been applied, so we want to continue. So press continue, let me see, yes. Right, so that's it, released now. So it's quite infuriating that I cannot find the Allen key for doing this. So I'm just going to use a T45. It fits in nice and snug. So we're now about to put the calipers back in order for us to get access. It's coming up there now. Okay, that's ready for the next stage. So, as you seen in the last one, we got the spring off. Just set that up out of the way. These pads. So in order to get the discs off, we need to take the caliper carriers off, which they're 15mm. So you need to get the discs off with a little bit of persuasion. Hello and welcome to another video for Auto Solutions Checkpoint. A couple of weeks ago we had a Ford S-Max in to get disc and pads. It has an electric handbrake, it's a 2018 model, and in order to do the disc and pads you need to put it into maintenance mode. Now once you put it in the maintenance mode you cannot touch any other setting on the machine until you've finished the maintenance on it. Right, so to cut a long story short, in the maintenance mode, discs and pads off, new ones on, put it back together again. I got the driver's side back together and went to do the passenger side. The passenger side caliper wasn't back far enough, so basically what's happened with these electric calipers, it's maybe been seized, releasing it didn't release fully. Now this opened a can of worms because you cannot use any other setting while your machine is in maintenance mode. So what am I going to do? The caliper itself, there's no way of winding it back manually. Obviously, if you put a positive and negative on the actuator, you can get it to wind back and wind forward. Whenever I done that, it wasn't actually releasing. It wasn't releasing it further back, so they'd been completely jammed. So I had to remove the caliper, take it over to my bench and manipulate it to free up. Managed to get it, work it back and forwards, put it back on, calibrated it with the computer, First of all, I put it out of maintenance mode, then I calibrated it. I got all the lights off on the dash. A couple of days later, the customer said about a problem with the brake light coming on, needing to service the back brakes. So I brought it back in again and got it checked. I couldn't actually see anything physically, visually wrong with it. I thought maybe there's error in the system, but it had been properly bled, like when I put the caliper back on, so there was no problem that way. By under closer inspection, like I tested the actuator was working, so I can only point to one thing, the caliper failure on it. And basically what's happened, the piston inside the caliper has collapsed. Inside the caliper, if you imagine like a thread, like a threaded bolt, and over that you've got your piston, but inside the piston is like a bearing with springs and ball bearings. Basically it's collapsed inside that and made the caliper not do what it should be doing. So I had to order a new caliper for it and replaced it back on. So basically that's what this video is about today, putting the caliper back on. I'll also throw in a few like video build up of the discs and pads initially. Basically when I was doing the first recording for the discs and pads on that, typical, the recording that it was using malfunctioned, ended up with a corrupt SD card, and I lost all game recording with any of the videos that I had for you. So I had to reformat, so I lost half of the video. So the S-Max is now on the ramp and we're gonna strip it down and get this new caliper fitted. So fingers crossed everything goes to plan. So before I continue to put it up in the air, I want to be filling the brake fluid up. Now obviously whenever I removed the caliper we lost quite a lot of brake fluid with that. So when you're topping it up, don't be afraid to overfill it, just fill it right up to the neck because you're going to be bleeding it again anyway, so there's no problem that way. Put the lid on and no more. Okay, that will stop all the contaminants getting into it. So we're now over at the bench and I just want to explain to you how the caliper works. Right, so this is the main caliper part of it and this is the actuator. Okay. Now the actuator has been tested, the actuator works. Now this is the piston from inside here. Right, so if you look closely, I don't know if you can see this or not, right, that is a threaded, like just say for argument's sake it was a bolt, so it's threaded all the way in. The piston sits over the top of it. Now inside the piston is also threaded, okay? Now when this turns round, under the pressure comes out, right, it's got like a bearing inside it, and basically what's happened, the bearing inside it has disintegrated and stopped doing what it was doing, so basically this becomes ineffective and it's not actually doing anything. It should, it's not turning this, so it's having no effect whatsoever. So what's happened is the inner bearing has failed on the piston. It is a rare failure, but obviously it does go wrong. but we intend to sort it with a nice shiny new one today. So the nice shiny new one from Comline, great company by the way. Nice shiny new caliper with the actuator. Compare it. I've no reason to doubt it. Perfect. So we're going to get the S-Max up in the air and we're good to go. Now, is it just me that has this opinion on Ford wheel nuts? Doesn't matter what modern Ford they are, all the wheel nuts are crap. Because how annoying is it when you go to release your wheel nut from your socket, it gets stuck. No other manufacturer I've used, I have this problem. Completely baffles me because Ford, to my knowledge, has always been 19mm from memory. From I was younger, it was always a 19mm for cars. But obviously with that one, I don't know, maybe they've had like a stack of 18mm and they're going, oh, we've messed up here, we need to make them 19mm, so we'll put an aluminium cover over it. It's a load of crap. So we're now ready to fit the brand new caliper. Now this hole here is for your bolts, for your fluid to go through, right? This other hole is your locator, right, which is here. Okay, so make sure your locator is in firmly, right down to the bottom. It's a bit fiddly because the pipe, they call it flexi. It's flexi for a reason, and it can be a right pain sometimes. Just get rid of this spanner, and so put it in, nip it up with your hand. Don't use a ratchet or anything, just nip it right up with your hand so you can't go any further, but make sure it's on the right thread, because obviously if you get a couple of turns with it, it's not in right. You should easily get about maybe 6 or 7, maybe 8 turns, and then just tighten the rest up with a spanner, not a ratchet. Please don't use a ratchet, because you can over tighten it, and at the end of the day, when brakes is concerned, you don't want that on your conscience. Okay, right, so that's the caliper done. Obviously we've got the wire for the actuator, but we'll do it last. And we've just got to put the pads on. So the pads are ready to go on. They are brand spanking new pads, it's just they've had a couple of days use. Obviously because it's been away and it's back again. Right, so caliper. Let's get it down and seat it on. So far so good. Okay, so we just got to line up the caliper. It seems pretty straight to now, and get in behind it and tighten up the bolts. Right, your caliper spring goes on next. There is a new one here for it. These can be a bit awkward to go on, especially if they're brand new. I tend to put them in the hole first, hold it with my finger, do the bottom one first, hold it in, hold it with my finger, press the top one in, and then obviously the pressure for putting in the hole, I can then ping that over. There we go. So one caliper fitted, and we just got to put it into maintenance mode again, because bear in mind we're fast forwarded maybe about a week, because we had to wait for the part coming in. So we need to go into maintenance mode again, and get it back out of maintenance mode, and then go for a bleed. We need to bleed the ABS with the computer. So once we've bled the ABS, we can calibrate the actuator, the brand new actuator on the caliper. So it should be all good, and then we'll get the brake discs all cleaned up as well. But aye, so far so good. So before I continue, I need to remove the vice grip from the brake pipe. So I'll be using my top-down RT Diag 800 BT. So just gotta climb up and plug the dongle in. Keep the keys in hand so that I can get the ignition on. What we're going to do next, we're going to go to the ABS. This has had a left hand side rear new caliper, so we need to bleed this, obviously to compensate for the work that's been done. Okay, so we're going to be bleeding this wee silver nipple. We're going to be bleeding it via the machine. I can't find my wee pipe that goes over the top of this so that I can get it directly into the bucket. What I'm going to do is loosen the bleed valve now. Okay. Bucket ready. Just to catch everything. Right, so we're doing a wheel. Hold on, look for a caliper, brake caliper. Front left, front right, rear left. That's the one we're wanting. Rear left. Okay. Right, so here we go. Perfect. So the machine is now telling us to close the rear left caliper bleeder screw. Okay, so we've done that. We just gotta press OK. We have to wait 45 seconds. Obviously we need to replace what we've just removed. Now bear in mind, you've seen that I filled it right up to the top, so it means we'll have minimum to put in. We won't have a lot. I think what we'll do while we wait for this, I'll give the disc a little clean up with this brake cleaner. So I'm going to initialize. So we need to go into brake mode. We need to be testing the caliper, releasing it. We need to get it releasing. Back over that. I want to read the fault code. Special functions. So we're applying the brake. Want to be checking that again. So the electronic parking should be parking brake has been correctly initialized. Right. Anything else we should be doing? Apply the parking brake. So that's the caliper applied. Okay. And we want to release the caliper. Okay. Right, so far so good. We're going to scan it now. I want to read, there's no fault code stored for the ABS. We're needing to do a full scan of the system and what with it. The worst about these keyless entry cars, whenever you're running diagnostic scans and that, the ignition times out, so you need to climb up every flipping time it times out to keep it going, because if it times out you're not getting a solid enough read with your machine. It needs to be full communication with the ignition system. So we have a full clean lease of life with the rear caliper, so it should be all good. We'll take it a little test run and see how we've done. If you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. Every little helps, and I like making the videos for everybody to see. Might not be everybody's cup of tea, but hey, at the end of the day, my wee channel is something that I enjoy doing, and I hope you enjoy watching. But Auto Solutions Checkpoint, just get subscribing. Right, so we don't actually need to top up the brake fluid, it's actually on the level. So just give your wee work area a little wipe down. Excuse me for sneezing, I'm just allergic to cars. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video for the S-Max. I unfortunately didn't. I was stressed out to the max. Obviously you don't see what goes on behind the scenes, you just see what you see inside a half an hour. But that was an absolute nightmare of a job. And basically even the Diagnostics, there was quite a lot of episodes of the Diagnostics getting into different bits and that, just to try and configure how I was going to get the fault lights out. Eventually found out a sequence of doing it and calibrated the actuator and got everything working, and on the test drive it was working perfect as well. The handbrake back to its full working order, and the brakes are really good now. The vehicle's now back to the owner and they're happy with it. So it's a job well done for Auto Solutions Checkpoint, and at least I know in future if I ever get an S-Max in with an electronic handbrake, I'll tell them to go away. Nah, I'm only joking. No, at least I'll know this time what I can do, how I can solve it. You know, see, at the end of the day, not every mechanic knows everything. Mechanicing is a job that you need to move with the times, and you do learn something new every day. Whether it be a little thing or a big thing, you learn something new every day. You never stop learning. So yeah, it was a big learning curve for me, and at least I know how to combat it in future. But anyway, you take care and have a fantastic week. 10-10 over and out.